after a very passionate and fact-based speech from Chairman PVA. Before we come to Pakistan and the banking industry, I would like to talk a little bit about emerging markets, because some of the themes coming out of those resonate with us, and I'll go through that in a moment. Governor Jameel Ahmed and myself, we were in Alula last weekend. This meeting was being co-hosted by Excellency Al-Jadaan, the Saudi Finance Minister, and Christina Georgieva, Managing Director of the IMF. And it included primarily the finance ministers from the emerging markets, so GCC, Africa, Russia and Central Asian republics, and LATAM. And there were a few governors and central bank governors there as well. Now, I thought this was a very, very good conference or get-together, because आम तौर पे जब हम in conferences and power hours में जाते हैं, a lot of stuff is scripted. So we already know what's going to happen, and then, of course, those communiques come out. What was different around this day and a half discussion in Alula was this was all informal, candid, open. And I thought it was important to share with this august audience some of the themes which were coming out of that conference, because that's where we start, the emerging markets, and then we come to Pakistan. So what I learned over that couple of days was that emerging markets do have specific vulnerabilities, whether it's on the fiscal side or on the external account side. But by and large, emerging markets have a good story to tell, because they have avoided a macro crisis for the last 25 years. GFC was very much an advanced market discussion back in 2018. And certainly, emerging markets have entered 2025 on a strong note. And this is on the back of macro stability. Actually, across emerging markets, a very stable banking system, structural and bold reforms, which are underway in a number of emerging markets. Now, this is very important, because in the wake, and I'm sure this is going to come up for discussion over the next couple of days, everything which is happening outside, but what we can call externalities, whether it's geopolitics, demand fragmentation, protectionism, threat of spillovers, and this goes beyond financial spillovers. And almost there was a consensus among the emerging market finance ministers that we need to focus on what is controllable, what is in our hands, and therefore stay the course. And in fact, it's President Jin of AIB, and I quote him saying, "Keep the caravan moving while there are clouds on the horizon." Now, some of the key themes which were coming out of this conference over the last weekend, I'll just go through those. Number one, most of the finance ministers were laser focused on productivity-led growth. Most of the finance ministers talked about private sector leading their countries in their own jurisdictions, whereas government only providing the policy framework and policy continuity. Most of the finance that improving governance, therefore ownership and accountability at the government level is the right thing to do. Deregulation, cutting the red tape, putting the bureaucracy down. In fact, from Argentina, the minister who represented Argentina was not Minister of Finance, was actually Minister of Deregulation. No surprises there. The third one was fiscal prudence, domestic resource mobilization, and prioritization on the expenditure front. So differentiating between good costs and bad costs, which obviously require very tough policy choices, as we are seeing here in Pakistan as well. the second last thing I would mention is, which was very important and was very encouraging, because in this whole scheme of things, you can appreciate there are countries which are well endowed, and there are countries which require help. And the topic of this discussion was shared challenges and shared future. And the fact that this South-South collaboration, where well-endowed countries are willing, ready, and able to step up to help other emerging economies, working with each other in terms of not only increasing investment and trade flows, but also the technical support, because that's where capacity building comes in. And the last thing is that everyone appreciated the fact that global trade may not be a lever of growth anymore because of everything that we are seeing. However, the regional connectivity and the corridors, and whether we can work with each other, अगर मैं पाकिस्तान के context में देखूं, what we need to do more with GCC, what we need to do more with Africa, what we need to do more with Central Asian republics, Turkey, etc., it made a lot of sense that we move in that direction from a South-South collaboration perspective. So I just wanted to mention this to this audience because as far as I'm concerned, and the governor was there as well, that these themes resonated. These are the themes which we are working on ourselves as well. And so उसमें ये जानना कि पाकिस्तान का ये ना कोई बहुत idiosyncratic risk है और ना कोई ऐसा challenge है जो बाकी emerging markets में नहीं है. But I thought the firmness and the resolve that I saw from the finance ministers of the emerging markets was actually both heartening, and it's all about learning from others as well. Now let's come to Pakistan. As I mentioned earlier in other discussions as well, that alhamdulillah, in terms of macroeconomic stability, we have made some